Hi and welcome to Healthy Life Hacks. I'm Jennifer Jefferies, the present-day wise woman, a realistic naturopath coming to you from the surfing beaches of Australia. This podcast is for those who are wanting to really rock their lives and health and live from a place of prevention. Let's get into today's episode. Sugar cravings, be gone! Yes, today I'm going to talk about how to beat stress eating. And I really want to talk about this now because I noticed in the last week that my brain had gone there. I had my mum really crook in hospital at this time, and I noticed I started to default and go that way. And I thought, wow, I have to talk about this stuff. So for so many of us, I'm human too, I promise. It can be a way of handling stress. It's interesting. People usually go either one way. Either they'll crave and eat, or they just emotionally can't eat when they're really stressed out. When our adrenal glands get really activated, that's where our stress hormones are made. We find ourselves often going into like, I've got to fuel my muscle. It's not conscious, but I've got to fuel my muscles so that I can stand and fight, or I can just run and get out of here. And we can't just run easily nowadays. However, our body still has this built-in mechanism where it's wanting to do that, because we get that blast of stress hormones. We find that when people crave, they either go to, shitty carbs or shitty fats. And yes, the sugar comes under the shitty carbs kind of category. Really interesting emotionally, but is that when we are in that high stress kind of environment, the normal default that we crave is if we go back to what our comfort food was when we were kids. So for me, if I'm that stressed, I don't generally crave chocolate. I'm not the chocolate kind of chick. I'm just not. Do I like chocolate? Yes, but it's not my default craving, but I'll default to lollies, my North American Friends candy. So when I was a kid growing up, if my dad was in a good mood, he would bring home a pound, because I'm talking about the 1960s when we still had the old imperial measurements, a pound bag of mixed lollies, and he'd dish them out to us kids. And it's that a real emotional, it's okay, dad's in a good mood kind of vibe. And really interesting, I found myself the other night going, oh, I just want some Ellen's lollies. And I haven't had Ellen's lollies for bloody years, guys. But I just really dealing with a really sick mom at the moment that my body just went, I need something. So that's why I wanted to talk about it. Now, as a naturopath, we want to break these kind of cycles. And the first place, we don't go with what is just there, just the nutrition of that, but we're wanting to go the step behind it. So as a naturopath, we want to go to what's happening behind. Well, behind is that, we can't make stress go away, but we've got to get our body we've got to be able to manage that stress. And we manage it with a class of herbs called adaptogens, which I've already talked about. And I'll throw a link in the show notes to my favorite one I take. Now, the name adaptogens came from the 1950s. And they are a class of herbs that we use as naturopaths, the most common herbs that we prescribe actually. But they've been around since 3000 BC, because the Chinese and Ayurvedic practices, those traditional medicines, they've used these herbs for forever. The word adaptogens was coined by a Russian toxicologist called Nikolai Lazarev. And he defined an adaptogen as a plant that increases the state of non-specific resistance, which when given to stress it just means that it can help the body withstand or helps protect the body against stressors. So stressors are anything physically and emotionally that taxes our body. That's it. And the kind of plants come from, they're grown in the extreme environments, and the plants have learned how to adapt to nature, and they contain constituents that help our body adapt to stress. The other day or the other night when I found myself going, I just want to consume anything, I went, Jan, this is not cool. And I went and had, I doubled up my stress tonic, my adaptogen tonic to help my body just kind of go, it's okay, Jen, you'll get through this. It's all right. So I wanted to talk into that. So that's the kind of the guts of what's happening behind it. Depending on what you crave means different things. So if you are the person who goes and craves carbs, you want to go and consume pastries or bread and all those kind of things, generally you're low in magnesium. Magnesium is a mineral that you burn up. The first mineral you burn up when you stress out. So, and I've talked on previous episodes about magnesium-rich foods. if you are the person who goes to sugar, so whether it's lollies or whether it's chocolate, those kind of things, anything sweet, we are generally low in chromium. If you are one of those people who finds that dip around 2 to 3 o'clock, here's a few chromium-rich foods that you can concentrate on. Now, you can bring into your diet more to be able to keep those levels up. The thing is, chromium is a water-soluble nutrient. It's lost in cooking so quick. Some of the foods are things like mussels and oysters, Brazil nuts, guys, Brazil nuts, dried dates, but not the big juicy ones. You want the shriveled up ones that look like old cockroaches. They're better. The really dried fruits that are real plump and juicy, they put sulfur in them to plump them up. That's not cool. Pears are useful. Wholemeal flour, brown bread. In my North American friends, wheat. So brown bread, brown rice, brown pasta. Tomatoes, mushrooms, but not, cooked into a luscious sauce. That doesn't work. Broccoli. And in fact, if you're going to cook any chromium-rich foods, just make sure that you keep the lid on the pan and then, or saucepan, whatever you're using, and then drink the water so that you're pulling up that chromium that's leached out of the food. Really important. It is a water-soluble nutrient. Then the other thing that can happen while our brain goes into that survival kind of mode is that sometimes our brain is not being fed properly. Now, it's your gut that actually feeds your brain. Your gut really feeds all your body systems, but it really feeds your brain. And it's the whole amino acid profile in the food that tells us whether our happies are going to get turned on in our brain or not. And the happies, I'm talking about your serotonin and dopamine. In past episodes, I've talked about how it's important to have grass-fed protein. Really important. And the reason is that you're wanting to get the amino acids. I wanted to just explain this because what I find in life is that if people understand why they need to do something, they're more motivated to do it. There's heaps of amino acids, but what I care about as a naturopath are what are called the 9 essential amino acids. And they're called essential because they're ones that your body can't make. They have to come from your foods. And they can be found in things like eggs and dairy, but grass-fed dairy, guys, really, really, really important, okay? Quinoa, so that's a grain, buckwheat, hemp seeds, chia seeds, and spirulina. And as a vegetarian, I'm a big consumer. I have spirulina every single day. In fact, I'll throw a note in the link to the greens that I have every day to make sure that I'm really getting enough of these amino acids. But they are essential for a reason, and they totally turn on our happies in our brain. So other foods like nuts and seeds and legumes and grains and vegetables, they're incomplete proteins because they're missing one or a few of the amino acids that are essential. And we need them, guys. We just do. And I find nowadays that some people, they're not depressed. They're just not happy because their brain's not being fed the right amino acids. The other thing that we need to talk about, and I am in a future episode, is about digestive enzymes and their role to make sure that your food actually digests instead of stews, so that you actually pull up all the right nutrition from it. But that's coming in a future episode. I want to leave you with some healthy life hacks today, guys. Healthy life hacks so that you can sort out this sugar craving thing. Healthy life hack number 1, to remove the refined and processed grains. No bum glue in the diet, guys. If you have not listened to episode 4 yet, go back and listen to it. I promise it's worth it. Now, healthy life hack number 2 is adaptogens. And I will put a link into the show notes of the one I use, but just know that you want to have, bring some strategy in. And these herbs are a wonderful strategy to help your body to adapt to stress. Healthy life hack number 3 is to increase your chromium-rich foods in your diet. And you can go to the show notes to check out the list. And then healthy life hack number 4 is to make sure you're eating grass-fed proteins to feed your brain. Like I said, you want to make sure you're getting those 9 essential amino acids to turn your happies on in your brain. Without that, we're not going to be able to adapt, and we will default to our childhood, which takes us off track in most cases. If you're wanting to get a copy of the show notes so you can check out all these things I spoke about in today's episode, head over to healthylifehacks.com.au. I want to thank you for being here today. If you enjoyed my podcast, please let me know by leaving a review where you're listening in from. Every month, I draw one lucky person who leaves a review to have a free free 1-hour consultation with me. If you would like to receive a free copy of my Feed Your Body ebook, simply click the link in the comments below and join my newsletter, and we will get that free ebook sent to you. I welcome your emails, and you can write to me at podcast@healthylifehacks.com.au. Until next time, remember, when it comes to life, live it, love it, and get on with it.